Every year, over 10 million people die from cancer around the world. Could this one unique root be the answer that so many are looking for to prevent and heal cancer naturally? You see, this special root has been used throughout Asia and the Himalayan mountains for over 5,000 years. And there's been over 3,000 studies done on it over the last 20 years due to its incredible healing potential. The ancients within Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, they named it the golden spice because of its unique health properties and its strong orange color. It's commonly used in Indian cuisine, with the average Indian consuming around 5 to 8 grams, which is equivalent to 1 to 2 teaspoons of it per day in dishes like curries, rice, and lentils. Now, have you guessed what it is yet? That's right, we're talking about turmeric. And in this video, I'm going to review some of the many anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory benefits of turmeric and how to consume it and supplement with it. You see, many Asian cultures use turmeric in nearly every meal, and they rave about its anti-aging and medicinal benefits. Western medicine has just begun to research its components at a very deep level to better understand all the turmeric benefits and remarkable health properties. Over 570 studies have appeared in the mainstream literature demonstrating curcumin, which is the active compound within turmeric, its cancer protective effects. You see, curcuminoid polyphenols are the primary antioxidant, anti-inflammatory compounds that are found in the turmeric root. And curcumin is responsible for the majority of the health benefits attributed to turmeric. The other curcuminoids include things like desmethoxycurcumin and bis-desmethoxycurcumin. Now, when we look at curcumin and turmeric, we first start by looking at blood sugar imbalances and insulin resistance, because those are huge factors that promote inflammatory conditions in the body. You see, elevated blood sugar creates hazardous glucose cross-linked proteins called advanced glycolytic end products, AGEs. These AGEs damage cell membranes, vital enzyme systems, and perpetuate inflammatory conditions throughout the body. Curcumin comes in and it modulates blood sugar and it improves insulin receptor function by improving its binding capacity to sugar. So it helps the sugar bind to the receptor and get into the cell where it can be used for energy. Curcumin activates the PPAR, the perioxiome proliferator activator receptor, which is a group of key nuclear proteins that regulate gene expression and modulate sugar uptake and utilization in the bloodstream. Curcumin also reduces the activity of specific liver enzymes that release sugar into the bloodstream while activating enzymes that store sugar as glycogen. And research on type 2 diabetes patients resulted in blood glucose stabilization and lowered triglyceride levels in the group that consumed curcumin. So in this way, turmeric benefits the body's ability to balance and stabilize blood sugar and keep inflammation under control. Now, let's talk about turmeric and how it impacts the gut. We talked about blood sugar, but also gut health is really key if we're going to prevent and heal chronic inflammatory conditions like cancer. So one of the most powerful mediators of inflammation in the body is something called endotoxin, otherwise known as LPS, lipopolysaccharides, that are produced in the gut. These LPS, or lipopolysaccharides, the bacterial cell wall of many different types of bacteria, some that are known pathogens in our system. And our bodies have hardwired an inflammatory process when LPS elevates in our bloodstream. You see, when we have high lipopolysaccharide production in the gut, plus permeability, damage to the gut, we call that leaky gut or intestinal permeability, we have that combination, now we get the LPS seeping into the bloodstream. That drives up inflammation in the body. So here's where turmeric comes in. It activates intestinal alkaline phosphatase enzyme, critical enzyme that binds and detoxifies LPS and gets rid of its inflammatory properties. This is extremely key for keeping inflammatory activity under control. In fact, if you're not getting the LPS under control, right, you're really not going to be able to stop inflammation. It doesn't matter what kind of strong anti-inflammatory drugs you take. In fact, all the NSAIDs, all the top NSAIDs out there, ibuprofen, even steroid medications, they don't block LPS, right? And so they're going to continue to drive up inflammation. All they're doing is altering the inflammatory pathways, stopping your body from being able to produce inflammation, however, not actually stopping the trigger for the production of inflammation. Whereas turmeric is able to get to the root. It's able to activate IAP, right? This intestinal alkaline phosphatase to bind LPS. It also helps to heal, right, and regenerate the gut lining. And turmeric is the top activator of intestinal alkaline phosphatase, but also black pepper, ginger, and garlic also will activate intestinal alkaline phosphatase. That's important to know just in case you don't have access to turmeric. Taking some ginger, garlic, black pepper can also be beneficial. Now, like I mentioned, turmeric doesn't just bind to the LPS, but it also reduces inflammation along the intestinal barrier, and it strengthens the gut lining, which reduces intestinal permeability. Now, turmeric is also a really powerful antioxidant. In fact, it has the 8th highest concentration of any food on the planet, with an oxygen radical absorbency capacity, an ORAC score of 127,068. Really powerful as an antioxidant, which helps to buffer oxidative stress, this form of internal rusting. So the curcuminoids, they boost levels of the body's most potent antioxidants, including glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, which are all your intracellular antioxidants that buffer oxidative stress. Again, these molecules are critical for the body to limit oxidative stress related to damage to the vital organ system. So when you have a lot of oxidative stress, it literally rusts you from the inside out and damages all your vital organs. Now, curcumin has also been shown to reduce inflammatory mediating prostaglandins, cytokines, and other molecules such as interleukin-6, nuclear factor kappa beta, NFKB, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. With a high enough dosage, this has the ability to pull the body out of a strong inflammatory cascade and reset anti-inflammatory behavior at the cellular level. And research done at the Life Extension Foundation found that curcuminoids target 10 factors involved in cancer development. This includes chronic inflammation, DNA damage and disruption of cell signaling pathways. Curcumin supplementation was shown to target destruction of cancer cell mitochondria and disrupt the cancer cell cycle, as well as arresting stem cell development, these cancer stem cells that are so potent and dangerous, and they facilitate further cancer cell formation. Now, there are hundreds of other studies that have shown that curcumin turns on natural apoptotic or cell suicide switches in cancer cells. They also reduce inflammatory prostaglandins that promote cancer cell growth, and a study out of China showed that curcumin was able to induce apoptosis within triple-negative breast cancer. And so this is key because triple-negative breast cancer is a type of cancer that defies conventional chemotherapy and radiation. So turmeric's ability to be effective against triple-negative breast cancer is so important. Turmeric ultimately benefits the body's fight against cancer by targeting 10 major factors involved in cancer development. Number one, it improves the inflammatory process, so it helps bring down inflammation. Inflammation is kind of the environment, the smoldering environment that cancer grows in. So as an anti-inflammatory, turmeric helps change the environment and creates an environment that is not ripe for cancer cell formation. It also protects against DNA damage. It disrupts cancer cell signaling pathways. It turns on that cancer cell apoptosis or cell suicide. See, this is the way what our cells are supposed to do. When they notice that things are going wrong, when they start to grow and form in an abnormal way, they're supposed to have this natural cell suicide switch that turns on. Most cancer cells have blunted that apoptotic switch. Turmeric goes in and helps to activate that natural apoptotic switch. So key. It also helps with the destruction of cancer cell mitochondria and reduces inflammatory prostaglandins. It also helps with the disruption of the cancer cell cycle as the cancer cell is growing and replicating. And it also acts as an anti-angiogenesis factor. That means it stops blood supply. See, cancer cells will release compounds, right, like VEGF, for example, vascular endothelial growth factor, that promote blood supply to go towards the cancer cell. Turmeric helps to basically block that production, that anti-angiogenesis effect, not allowing extra blood supply to get to the cancer cell. It also stops cancer cell development and slows metastatic activity. So let's talk about the best dosages of curcumin. Like, how are we going to use this in our diet and lifestyle to get these benefits? Well, for optimal turmeric or curcumin absorption, it's necessary to combine the turmeric with good fats. So if we're eating it, we want to combine it with things like coconut oil or coconut milk or olive oil or butter or ghee. Like in Indian culture, usually they're using ghee along with the turmeric, which will help with the absorption. So good fats with it is key. You also want to add just a dash of black pepper. There's a piperine molecule within black pepper that enhances curcumin uptake. I also mentioned how black pepper also helps with intestinal alkaline phosphatase, that enzyme activity. So it kind of synergizes there and helps improve the activity of curcumin. For individuals with chronic inflammatory diseases, such as cancer, it's recommended to supplement with a high dose of curcumin. Of course, you want to make sure you're talking with your doctor about this. This video is not meant for, for prescription purposes, right? It's just general education. But when you're supplementing, find a curcumin or turmeric that has piperine in an enteric coating that protects the nutrient from stomach acid so it's absorbed optimally. Now, there hasn't been an official dosage that's been established by the scientific literature. However, studies involving human patients with cancer found that curcumin doses of 3.6 grams or more daily had the best effects. That's a really good amount of curcumin or turmeric, 3.6 grams. Most supplements out there are going to be roughly around 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams per serving. And that's great for wellness, but if you're trying to really shut down a chronic inflammatory condition, work with your doctor or your natural health practitioner to get on a higher dose, taking with meals in divided doses so you get the best benefit. You see, curcumin regulates tumor suppressor pathways and triggers mitochondrial-mediated death in the cancer tissue. Again, it's anti-angiogenic. I talked about that earlier. That means it shuts down the ability of cancer cells to develop extra blood supply that these cells use to fuel on. That effect makes cancer cells more vulnerable to pharmacological treatments, things like chemotherapy and other cancer control drugs, as well as radiation. So even if you're taking conventional treatments, turmeric can actually help make those treatments more effective. Now, my recommendation, I recommend using turmeric on various foods. I put it on my meat. I put it on chicken, bison, grass-fed beef, lamb, eggs. It's great on eggs. Here, let me do that part over. So my recommendation with turmeric is to put it on various foods. I like to put it on almost everything I eat. I put it on my meat, chicken, bison, grass-fed beef, lamb, eggs. Really, my savory dishes is where I enjoy using turmeric, and I put it on after I cook with it. So I don't actually cook with it because I don't want to damage the precious antioxidants that are in it. I simply grill up the meat on a pan in a large amount of coconut oil or grass-fed butter or ghee or tallow, and after it's cooked, I add a lot of that turmeric, usually a few teaspoons, and I smother it in the oils around the meat, and I flip the meat around so that the oils collect the turmeric and it stays attached to the meat. Now, to get the most turmeric benefits, I also add in some black pepper, as the curcuminoid antioxidants are absorbed and utilized more effectively with the use of those good fats, like I was talking about, the butter, the ghee, coconut oil, olive oil, whatever healthy fat you're using. And then also that black pepper helps with the absorption. Now, for supplementation, the best dosages for supplementation in studies are between 500 to 2,000 milligrams per day, always with meals. Now, it's been shown that up to 8,000 milligrams, that's actually been studied, people taking 8,000 milligrams, 8 grams, and it's been shown to be safe, no unwanted side effects. Now, if you are on like a blood thinner, for example, like a Coumadin or something like that, turmeric does have a mild blood thinning effect, so I think a high dose would be contraindicated for somebody that's on a blood thinning medication, so just be aware of that and talk with your medical doctor about that. Now, for wellness purposes, so if you're in pretty good health and you just want good wellness in general, you wanna make sure you're detoxifying that LPS in the gut, the endotoxin in the gut, take 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily. Take it with meals, like I talked about. Now, for major health conditions, like chronic inflammatory conditions, many practitioners will use something around 1,000 to 4,000 milligrams daily. I talked about how 3.6 grams was shown to be the most effective dose with cancer. So somewhere between 1,000 to 4,000 milligrams daily can be really helpful. Now, one caveat, I talked about the blood thinning effect, but also for some individuals, taking a higher dose of turmeric may elevate liver enzymes, right? Now, it's usually not a bad thing. Like if you're noticing yellowing of your skin, jaundice, which there's never been that reported with anybody taking turmeric as far as having major liver and kidney issues. However, it certainly could be possible. If you do that, obviously stop it. For most people, it's just like a rise in liver enzymes, but it actually is because the liver is working harder to detoxify and to de-inflame the body. And if you want to make sure that your labs are real accurate, just stop taking turmeric about 4 to 5 days before you get your blood drawn. So take it up to about, let's say 5 days before, come off of it, and that will give you more accurate reporting on your liver enzymes. And not everybody has this effect. For some people, they actually notice their liver enzymes go down and they have improvement in liver enzymes, which is good. That's a positive sign. For others, it will elevate liver enzymes. So just be aware of that. But in general, taking turmeric, very, very little side effects. Again, mild blood thinning effect. And for most people, very, very well tolerated, even up to high dosages. So really, really powerful stuff. Hopefully you guys learned a lot here. Please share this video with anybody that you know and that you care about. And we'll see you in one of these future trainings. Be blessed.